In Write from Dictation, you'll hear a sentence and then type what you heard. This may sound easy, but it can be difficult even for native speakers. Let's take a closer look at the Write from Dictation question type in the listening section of the PTE exam. Hi, I'm Sharon, and I'm a PTE trainer here at Benchmark Education Solutions. In this video, we're going to look at an overview of the Write from Dictation question type in the listening section of the PTE exam. This is a very important question type because if you do well, you could potentially earn a lot of points. In this video, we'll talk about how this question is scored, and then we'll do a sample question together. At the end, I'll leave you with some important tips to remember. Ready? Let's start. First up, let's look at what this question type is all about. This is the very last task in the listening section and the last task in the whole exam. This is important to keep in mind. Why? Well, this question type is very important because of the potential amount of points, so you need to make sure you have enough time to complete it. You should give yourself around 5 minutes. This question type is also important because it tests two skills, listening and writing. You'll listen to one sentence and you'll need to type it exactly as you hear it. The amount of words in the sentence can range from 5 to 12. This question type focuses on your listening, writing, and spelling skills. This is because you are listening to the sentence, typing it out, and also using your spelling skills. The best way to master these questions is to separate the sentences into sections. What does this mean? Instead of memorizing every word individually, memorize them in sections. This will actually give you fewer things to memorize. We'll look more closely at these tips and more in our in-depth lesson. And finally, you'll see around 3 to 4 of these questions on test day. Next, let's see how this question is scored. Since this question type contributes to both your listening and writing scores, it's called integrated. You get partial credit for each word you spell correctly. So for each word spelled correctly, you get 1 point. And each incorrect or misspelled word will result in 0 points. You should always attempt to answer these questions. Don't skip any of them because you won't receive negative marks for incorrect answers. Can you see why this question type is so important? For example, if you have a question with 12 words and you get them all right, that's a total of 12 points. Not having enough time to finish these questions can really have a negative effect on your overall score. This is why it's so important to focus on your time management during the PTE exam. Now let's look at a sample sentence together. Listen to the audio, and as you listen, focus on breaking it into sections. Then pause the video and try to write or type what you heard. Then we'll go over your answer together. And here's the tip. The only punctuation you have to worry about is the period at the end of the sentence. Let's give it a try.
Now, for most employees, asking a manager questions like this is hard.
Okay, let's go over the answer. Here's the sentence you heard. Now, for most employees, asking a manager questions like this is hard. How many words did you remember? Don't forget that each correctly spelled word is 1 point, and each incorrectly spelled word is 0 points. Let's look at how you could have approached this. Notice how there was a brief pause after now. Pauses can be useful. They can help you determine how to divide the sentence into sections. You could place now in the first section, for most employees in the second section, asking a manager in the third section, and questions like this is hard in the last section. There really isn't one right way to do this, but the pauses and the intonation the speaker uses can help you separate words into groups that are easier to remember. By following this method, you have a higher chance of remembering more words all throughout the sentence. It's the same concept as remembering a telephone number. If you had to remember 10 individual digits, that could be difficult, but we break them into groups to make the number easier to remember. And here's a little more about punctuation. If you didn't use a comma after now or before asking, this isn't considered incorrect. Just be sure to use a capital letter at the beginning of your sentence and end your sentence with a full stop, usually a period. Now I want to wrap up our lesson by leaving you with some important tips about write from dictation. Remember, since there are so many potential points with this question type, you really need to focus on your time management as you proceed through the test. Try to save around 5 minutes at the end of your test for this question type. Separate the sentence into sections so that it's easier to remember. We'll go over this more thoroughly in the in-depth lesson, but all sentences include major components such as nouns and verbs. There are also other words that could come up, including articles and other grammar items like adverbs or adjectives. The main thing to remember here is that listening for specific parts of speech will help you organize the sentence when you need to type it afterwards. Next, don't replace, misspell, or forget any words in the sentence. This will cost you points. Also, don't take notes as you listen to the sentence. This could confuse you, especially if you write the incorrect word as you listen. Instead, rely on your short-term memory and listen for words in groups. The last thing you should do is take a few seconds to check your sentence before you hit the next button. Again, make sure that you have the necessary grammatical components of the sentence, like a subject and a verb, and that you have spelled everything correctly. I hope you did well on your sample sentence, and I hope this video gave you a good idea of what write from dictation is all about. You'll find more write from dictation questions to practice on our website at edubenchmark.com, as well as more information about all the other question types you'll encounter during your exam. You can also watch our other videos with an in-depth lesson and helpful do's and don'ts for this question type. And be sure to try our personalized services, like our PTE speaking mock test. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.